Match 29 of the IPL. Things are hotting up. Every win moves you significantly above. Every loss pulls you away from what looks like a really tough top four to make in this 2023 edition of the tournament. We build up to the Super Kings and the Sunrisers at the Chepauk. On Visit Saudi presents ESPNcricinfo T20 Timeout. It's a fascinating evening to say hello to Shaun, Tait, and back to share some company with me. We don't need any blue ticks to verify you in your flesh and blood. The very original Sanjay Manjrekar. Good evening, Sanjay.
What's with this blue ticks? What is he on about?
He's not on Twitter, so he doesn't know. But it's a trending thing. All our blue ticks have been wiped off. You know, there's a fake account on you.
There was. I got in a lot of trouble actually. With that person that did that to me.
Yeah.
Did you see how he said?
I'm glad all the blue ticks are gone.
Yeah, they're gone. So now the chaos can thrive.
And quickly he also plugged this in that all our blue ticks are gone. He wants to tell everyone that he had a blue tick.
There's a good chance that people watching this show know about me, not about
you. Might not get it back.
Can we not talk about you now? Move on.
This is the show where we talk about real superstars, right? We talk about MS Dhoni leading the Super Kings back at the Chepauk, and it seems to be things just happening for them again. And for the Sunrisers, they're blowing hot, they're blowing cold. How do they respond after losing to the Mumbai Indians at home? That would have been a few points they feel would have been dropped. Is it fair to say that CSK start as favourites today, Sanjay, from what we're seeing?
They have some kind of incredible winning record at Chepauk, yes. 72 or 78%, which is ridiculous when you look at it. RCB have about 42 at home. So this home and away advantage is not for everyone. So some people are good away from home, but you know, Dhoni on not just Chepauk, any pitch that is slow, has low bounce, where the spinners get a bit of turn, Dhoni rules as captain. He manages his resources beautifully. That was the legacy he left as Indian captain as well, and carrying on as CSK captain.
And what was, you could say, a troubled year or two last time round for CSK? It seems like while the rest of the league is fighting it out with each other, CSK are still in their own zone. Their surprise guns are firing, their old cricketers are firing, and MS looks completely in control at the wheel.
Yes, it's sort of no surprise in some ways, because they've had a bit of a history of doing this, I think. Although, a couple of lean years thrown in there as well. I think they took one season to rebuild, and now they're back again. So, but there's a couple of good teams at the top, and these guys are just quietly going about their business.
Yeah, I don't know how many people would have had CSK in their pre-tournament top four, but you are one of them. So you must tell me now as to whether they look ominous, CSK, but just how the rest of the league is panning out.
Not ominous. I look at Rajasthan Royals and they look ominous to me. CSK have one major issue, which is their death bowling, and on a big night, that might come to haunt them. MS manages those limitations beautifully. I mean, he has managed Hangargekar in the first couple of games, Tushar Deshpande all along. He's gone with Akash Singh now that he trusts. So he doesn't have the Bravos and the Doug Bollingers of the old who would bowl the tough overs. So that is something that might hurt them on a given night. But the batting is looking good. Spin, when you look at the names on paper, they are not like, say, a Kolkata Knight Riders or, Titans where they have Rashid Khan. But that again, he manages beautifully. But the one little Achilles heel would be death bowling. But it's a team that is looking good to make the playoffs. And once you're in the playoffs, then you have the Dhoni advantage of being, calm on the big stage. And then you look at CSK as the hot favorites to go through to the final round.
Yeah, anything can happen. And most teams would say you'd rather not play CSK in a playoff. That's just the legacy and the reputation they hold in these games. They won another toss. That'll help. They're going to be bowling first. They batted well as well when they've been made to at the Chepauk. We'll come to that. We'll come to teams in just a bit from now, but one of the things that is firing, and Sanjay Manjrekar points out, their batting is clicking. And we knew Conway and Gaikwad would have to carry most of this batting, but they seem to have more faith in the others now, and that in large part is due to Ajinkya Rahane's form. Ever since he was brought in, you'd think as the replacement for Ben Stokes, once Stokes was injured, that number 3 was vacant, and Rahane came in, 61-27, set his home ground alight against the Mumbai Indians, and it wasn't a one-off. 160 the strike rate against Rajasthan, 185 the strike rate against Bangalore. I'm going to dig up some numbers shortly as well on how this is a renewed, rejuvenated Rahane 2.0. You've seen the man for so long. Tell me how pleasantly surprised you are at what we're seeing this season.
Along with those strike rates for this season, if we had seen the strike rate of last season, which was I think 103 or something,
there you
because he was really struggling.
So a 160 plus strike rate in an innings in the league happened just twice before 2023.
Whole career.
Whole career.
Yeah.
How about that? Yeah.
Yes, and again, this is where MS is so good. I mean, who would have thought that a team would be keen to have somebody like an Ajinkya Rahane? Most teams weren't putting their, whatever they put up at the auction to get a player in because of what Ajinkya Rahane had done in the IPL for the last 2-3 years and at the international level. But CSK went for him almost like an afterthought. And once he's found some space there in the batting order, the number that he's batting at is crucial. Number 3. And once the pace starts slowing down, you can see Ajinkya Rahane, like Virat Kohli, against spin, he's struggling to get the power game in. But while the ball is coming on, he's batting superbly. And if you cast your mind back to the first few seasons of Ajinkya Rahane in IPL, because he had come with a first-class average of 60 into the big league, and suddenly he was this brilliant T20 dasher at the top. And we were all surprised by the game that he had. He seems to have gone back to that game. But this is something phenomenal, and very happy for him that he's got this second win.
You spent a couple of seasons with him, and that was perhaps there was a critical period of Rahane too, where is Rahane value after the power play, nor is he a player who's sort of a bit of a liability as the field spreads. Was it about the timing of where he was in his career? Do you sense that's coming into the picture now, where perhaps certainly his white ball hopes for India don't seem to be realistic?
No, I think the time I spent I was at Rajasthan when he was there, early when he first started basically in his career, he had Rahul Dravid with him as well, and they battled together at the top of the order for a couple of seasons, I believe, from memory.
Yes.
And it went quite well, but the criticism I think would have been, you might have been working on it, was probably strike rate. That was the only thing. He would make runs and he would get us off to a good start, but at times I just remember there was some criticism about his strike rate, which now has completely changed. So watching him grow from there, then having a couple of lean seasons and trying to find a home, it's just great to see him now as a mature cricketer.
When you're an India hopeful, I mean, when Ajinkya Rahane was increasingly playing less and less, it's a contradiction in itself, less and less of white ball cricket at the international level, IPL is such a visible platform that if you want to show that you've got white ball form, this is where you've got to get runs. And Ajinkya may have felt the need to show scores. We see that with a lot of players who want to score, guys who want to come back or cement their place in the national team. They're using IPL to make the runs because everybody's looking at IPL performances now. It's like if you watch singing reality shows, guys who are singing to get those votes from people are under pressure, and once you get voted out, they're asked to give one last rendition, and that is the best they ever sing, and that's what's happening to Ajinkya Rahane as well.
I love these musical metaphors.
I mean, that's my real passion actually. This is a job which pays me less, but it's still I have to earn money.
Do you regret not having pursued your passion?
Yeah, I think I had more talent for that.
No.
I would. Better you say it than me. But back to Rahane, it's amazing, Sanjay, because I was also wondering whether he even has the game to catch up with how the T20 game has evolved. You think Rahane at Rajasthan became this player who could just loft the ball over the infield, not hit big sixes. So is this something that a batter has worked on over time? Do you associate it to the standard of bowling? Do you associate it with the pitches we're getting to see him play on?
It actually then boils down to really the technique and the style, batting style. Now, if Pujara decides that I'm going to go and play without fear and start hitting from ball number 1, his technique won't allow him to do that. It's a technique that is now with him. He cannot change it at such a late stage in his career. Rahul Dravid was the same. He couldn't score at 140, 150. Ajinkya Rahane's batting style is still such that he can score purely because he's got a bit of a fluid and very wristy kind of arm movement where he's able to get the power of the pace bowler. So once that power is gone, if the pace is not, then he doesn't have the game like somebody like a Shivam Dube would hit straight sixes or a Marcus Stoinis. So he has the game which is good enough while the ball is coming onto the bat. Once spinners come on a rank turner, no pace at all, then he might struggle a bit, but he still has that game that Dhoni is using in the first 6 overs.
It's also sometimes as blunt as, if you don't do this, if you don't score at this rate, you can sit on the bench. Like
the message is clear.
I think that might be part of, okay, maybe that is not the exact conversation, but maybe that has something to do with that. Okay, this might be my last chance to continue my white ball career. I've got to get after it. I can't be selfish. I can't bat and just go about it. So that might be something to do with it.
Yeah, sure. What about this IPL being Rahane's best, and whether we can look at what's new in this IPL. In some ways, whether it's the spread of the talent across 10 teams, whether it is the standard of bowling that perhaps has gone a level lower, but nothing taken away from Rahane, or even the impact sub, which allows you to play Rahane as a pure batter, whereas maybe 2 seasons ago you'd have to pick between Rahane and Raidu. You may not be able to fit both. Do you sense some circumstances have worked in favor of Rahane's success?
Combination of everything. Even at Chepauk, he was able to play the kind of innings that he had played before, hitting the ball on the up. Now that wouldn't happen in the past. The pitches are good at this stage of the IPL. Plus the fact Mahendra Singh Dhoni has this uncanny knack of getting the best out of a player. Shivam Dube, the opportunity that he's got, and he'll keep backing. That's something I think Rahane knows. He won't talk to him much, but he'll walk the talk. Couple of failures and he knows he's not under pressure. Also, the fact that every team now has a pure batter at number 8. Every team, because of the impact substitute. It's amazing how much depth there is in batting. Yeah. So a lot of the batters are set free because they're not worried that if I lose my wicket, there could be a collapse. That's also getting a lot of these people to play the high-risk game. The first 6 overs, we are seeing more runs than anywhere else. So it's a combination of all these things. More importantly, pitches. We'll see Ajinkya Rahane as we get to the end of the season, when the pace dies down in the pitches and the bowlers work out a way to bowl to Ajinkya Rahane. I think they will see spin against him very quickly today. That's likely to happen. Then we'll see how he reacts to that.
The other way around is maybe for when those surfaces get slow, as Sanjay says, you don't mind Rahane there. Because we're seeing yesterday with the Delhi game, we saw the other day at Jaipur too, there were teams that weren't able to get batters who could work the ball in gaps. So suddenly there's a value to Rahane. Maybe that's the reason.
Absolutely.
He's versatile suddenly.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's had enough experience now facing most of these guys on most of these wickets. And I think maybe he's drawing on his years of experience as well now. Like I said before, he's become a mature cricketer. Maybe there's that freedom of not being, releasing his fear.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter now. I've got to score runs against any bowler, spinners or pace. And this could be my last chance. So,
yeah. I know that if you ask Rahane, he would certainly have the intention to play for India again. Realistically, the white ball seems far away. But there's no red ball cricket from now till the World Test Championship. There is a spot, you think, vacant because of injuries and whatnot. We certainly don't equate T20 form for Test cricket. But if he gets runs, does he come into the thinking at all that this is a player in form, he has experience, the same reasons they went back to Pujara, that rather go for the known experience or known hand? Would you at all think it's a possibility?
See, the problem is when you have a one-off test match, like the one that Pujara made a comeback in. It was a one-off test match in England, completion of that series that was, incomplete. So that's when the selectors want to be safe. If you have a 4-match series in England, they'll go for somebody who's getting runs at the first-class level at number 4 and 5. You don't want to go back to Ajinkya Rahane on T20 form, but one-off test match, they might feel the pressure. But whether Ajinkya Rahane will be a different player in test matches because of the way he's played in the IPL, I don't think there's any connection there at all.
Yeah.
So I remain skeptical about him adding value in an Indian test batting order. But certainly, this is great for him. And just that Ajinkya Rahane, we're talking about Ajinkya Rahane. He's been a big name, and we haven't been talking about him for the last 12 months.
Probably that Shreyas Iyer is injured right now, so that's probably the spot. That probably hit the spot that
they might be thinking on those lines.
That is the spot. So
ideally, you want to give one of your first-class batters. We haven't seen a first-class batter in the last 4-5 years. India keep going back to the tried and tested. Where are the top run getters at the first-class level? People like Ishwaran and all hardly get an opportunity. He was there in Bangladesh, but didn't play a test match, or maybe he did. But they don't get enough opportunities.
Yeah. That we're having the conversation, as Sanjay Manjrekar points out, is in itself a vindication for Ajinkya Rahane. Can he carry this on? Now, you know what happens when we discuss a player to death on these pre-shows. He ends up having a record like Bhuvneshwar Kumar, which tells you that he's probably due for a small one. But that, we hope, doesn't happen today. These two know each other well. They've played a hell of a lot of cricket at the highest level for India. And the average of 15, 6 dismissals in 16 matches, strike rate of less than 100. That was in the pre-Rahane 2.0 era. So let's see if it changes today. But just a matchup for you to keep your eyes on for what is now going to be the second half of this game, given CSK will bowl first. So Shivam Dube was a nice conversation Sanjay brought up. So let's have a chat on Dube in particular light of what was said about him by his captain at the end. And I'm loving this. MS the player, I know you're a big fan this year of him coming in at that 8th position and hitting 3 or 4 big blows, and that's his ideal role. And we're also seeing MS, the captain, finish off brilliantly. He had a chat with you on Dubey where he said, yeah, we know he has an issue with genuine fast bowling. Isn't that something unique? How much he's giving us?
I'll make a confession. When you're sort of interviewing a person, you're listening to about 70% of what he says. You've got to get the next question ready as well. What if you get a short answer and you're too immersed in, listening, and then you... So I didn't get that part properly. I heard most of what he said. But if he said that, I think he's being very candid and he's very willing at this stage of his career to share everything that's going on in his mind, which is nice. We get those pearls of, not wisdom, but just how Dhoni thinks.
Yeah.
But this is what he does well. And I remember asking Shivam Dubey about how it is playing for CSK, because this guy was with Rajasthan Royals and didn't quite flourish there. So typically MS says nothing to Shivam Dubey. There is no psycho talk before the match to, spur him on or anything. He just gives them opportunity and that's it. Bats him at number 3, bats him at number 4. That itself tells you, that the captain's backing you and he's saying nothing. If you fail, nothing.
Yeah, and I mean that confidence, I think Tom said it as well, Teddy, wasn't it, that we now must come to expect that Dubey will bat above Moeen Ali, he will bat above Raidu, maybe even above Ben Stokes, because we've seen that happen and there's no Ben Stokes today, so we can assume that's going to happen again. We thought maybe this is an error, is this something that CSK are missing a trick with, but it seems to be reaping rewards. As far as his entry points go, that's the phase where you think a Moeen Ali would come in, he had this role, and suddenly Dubey is winning you games, so there is clearly merit to the confidence.
Absolutely, and there's also probably, I think Chennai have always had the long-term view. They've always done that quite well. So maybe Dubey is, obviously he's a local player, he's fairly young. Moeen Ali might not be around in the next couple of years. It changes very quickly in the IPL. So maybe Dubey is a plan for the future as well. Is that fair to say? So they do invest quite well, I think, Chennai in their players. And regardless of that, I think Dhoni keeps it very simple, puts confidence into his players, lets them go. Gives them a longer run. So at Rajasthan, he might have got 1 game, 2 games.
Yeah,
out to
that
go.
happened at RCB as well.
RCB, same thing. So Chennai, again with Rahane, an extended run. Keep going,
And they keep it simple and don't sort of react immediately if it doesn't work. And there is a lot of serious cricketing logic behind everything that MS does. This is not just on a whim or let's try this. There is actual great grassroots cricket thinking there. So he's looking at Devon Conway, Ruturaj Gaikwad, who like the ball coming on to the bat. These are proper top order batters. Ajinkya Rahane, when the ball is coming onto the bat, the moment the spinners are on and you start taking the pace off post 6 overs, that's when he unleashes Shivam Dubey. He won't send him if a wicket falls in the first or second over where there's pace off.
Yeah, I'd be so interested to chat to the analyst at Chennai, because
he doesn't do much, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That would be so interesting to talk to the analyst, because obviously in other teams they've got a huge job to do. I think with Dhoni it's like today you can just sit there and be quiet and I'm running the show.
No, this is in all seriousness, of course, but we have heard Mike Hussey's said it on our platform, Stephen Fleming too, when we worked at the World Cup there. You will provide MS with the data, but by and large he'll take what he likes from it and just be himself in a game, and it has worked wonders for CSK many times in the past. It could very well work today. Right, let's take some team news, shall we? We're still waiting on what is keeping Ben Stokes out for Chennai. As it turns out, he has another game that they'll have to do without their most expensive overseas signing. Seems like a toe injury keeps Stokes sidelined, but they're winning and they're doing well. Shivam Dubey, Ajinkya Rahane, Moeen Ali, all part of that bowling first 11. And you think Ambati Raidu, who is now specialist impact sub, will come in the second half. No changes on the right hand side. So Akash Singh, Tushar Deshpande and Mahitisha Patirana. We'll talk a bit about Patirana after that finish against RCB. And Theekshana to lead the bowling. Sanjay?
Yeah, I thought they would, maybe they would have thought about Mitchell Santner, purely because Sunrisers Hyderabad have a lot of right-handers in the top 6. And if it's a turn, I don't think Chepauk has gone yet to the stage where you see a ranked turner, but it will help spinners. So Theekshana's recent form, well, again, this could be Dhoni backing Theekshana for later. Maybe not bowling well currently. So that may have been thought about. Santner on a pitch that turns is a good bowler to have, plus his batting comes in handy. But apart from that, expected guys, I'm just amazed how he's managed the death bowlers. I mean, when you look at ability, inexperience, he's managed Tushar Deshpande, now he's managing Patirana, Manjrekar is in the squad again. So remarkable what he does.
Yeah, and you are liking what you're seeing of Tushar Deshpande, who now suddenly looks like a bowler who's confident and being given the responsibility that you're going to be our main Indian seamer.
Just seeing his face after that first game, obviously quite nervous, and he went for a few runs. I think he went for 50 odd.
Yeah, we got another MS gem then where he said they better stop bowling extras, otherwise they'll be playing under a different captain.
Yeah, exactly. But I think when you get that release of pressure and you have one good outing, and you just see the relief off his face, and he's been pretty good, I think. Look, he's going to go for a few runs, but he's taken wickets as well. He's an option with the new ball. He can bowl in the middle, and he's an option at the death. So I think he's quietly becoming quite a good IPL bowler. Yeah.
He's a bit in that Shardul Thakur mold. Tushar Deshpande. Shardul obviously has gone off the boil, dropped in the last game.
Yep.
Properly dropped. But yes, when Shardul bowls well.
Strong, bustling.
Yeah, so I think MS likes those kind of bowlers.
Yeah, and he's keeping fit. Tushar Deshpande. He's had his share of injuries for Mumbai. But looks like this is the man who's going to lead CSK's bowling lineup, especially with Deepak Chahar being ruled out. So the point Sanjay makes though about the possibility or temptation of Mitch Santner, illustrated with a cold start to Mahesh Theekshana, did get the backing of MS and got the wicket against RCB. Otherwise you thought Faf and Maxwell were going to run away with that game. Theekshana is going at just over 10s. It's early days. It's 2023 and therefore only 2 games to Theekshana. But how good was Mitch Santner in the opportunities that he got? And that was pretty much Mitch Santner, the bowler. He barely got a bat in those opening 3 games. Went at under 7. Quality-wise though, if you are looking for a spinner to bowl in the power play, is Theekshana still your more backed bowler? Today Harry Brook might be opening in a little while from now. We have a big question on Harry Brook against spin. So Theekshana still?
Yes, because Jadeja is not the greatest option in the first 6 overs. Santner is not playing, so Theekshana is an obvious choice. If there were 2 left-handers batting in the first 6, then Moeen Ali is somebody he'll go to because he's another fine bowler. But yes, Theekshana still your bowler. I mean, Sri Lanka uses him even closer to death overs.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Yep. Yeah. I think it's amazing that we don't even think the absence of Ben Stokes is a big miss for CSK.
Amazing.
Because with Jofra we're saying it for MI, with Livingston we said it for Punjab. Tom Moody's pointing out there's some very expensive English sub benches in this IPL, but we don't seem to be having that sort of chat now. Is that down to Stokes or is that down to CSK?
I think it's CSK. Definitely. I think if Stokes was at a weaker team, or what you might say, you'd probably talk about it a bit more and they might be needing him, but I think there's a couple of all-rounders there. I mean, Moeen Ali's an all-rounder, Jadeja, they cover that spot pretty well, I think, with the all-round game. But obviously when he's fit and he's in its side, that's the scary thing.
Yeah.
If he's to come in at some point and he's playing well, probably just as they go into finals maybe.
Yeah, I find it hard to believe where he'll come in now, because if you are going to back 2 overseas bowlers, Theekshana and Pathirana, then you're not going to drop Conway. The only other option is Moeen.
Pathirana is
Dispensable.
I mean, yeah, dispensable is a very strong word, but dispensable, you can replace him with an Indian seamer, and the difference won't be stark with that Indian seamer. So you can get Ben Stokes in. What you'll get with Ben Stokes is what CSK got with Shane Watson.
Yeah.
In the playoff matches, on the big stage.
Yeah.
Boy, when the world, everyone is nervous on the big stage. People like MS Dhoni, Ben Stokes, if he just gets a great start with bat or ball, then he becomes the game changer on the big stage, and that's where the big bucks are paid for.
I'm doing a show with you after quite a while, and I must say, I would have the same feeling if you were with us in the playoffs, because it just feels like so assuring that you are on this show with us. Nothing against the other guests.
No, it is.
And I'm not. You agree with me, Tait, don't you?
He's saying his music's better. I don't think. It can't be.
Yeah.
You haven't heard me. You haven't heard me sing.
No, I haven't. You're right.
But in all fairness, Matisha Pathirana, who had a tough job, Terry, to bowl at the Chinnaswamy, where even though they got Faf and Maxwell, anything happens in the IPL these days. Anyone can take you down.
Yeah.
We perhaps didn't spend as much time on it because it looked like a 6-fest, where CSK, RCB missed out on a couple of 6s, so they lost. But Pathirana seems to have done a job for them, and is he an improved bowler from what you remember and seeing? He's from your school.
He is much improved. I think that's. There was a lot of word. I did a couple of leagues. I was involved with a couple of teams over the last couple of years in leagues, and his name was always coming up. And he was one of those guys where you go, do we take him or do we not? We're not sure. It's obviously the way he bowls. We don't know what might be coming. And
did that almost strike a nerve with you?
Yeah, just a little bit. And I think he probably has more control than I did, actually.
I mean, you're a lot quicker as well.
Yeah, he's got to be. He's got to be a death bowler. That's got to be his thing, I think. And he does it pretty well. There's a lot more hopefully to see from him. But there's, an out and out death bowler. There's not that many around. There's guys that bowl to death, but an out and out death bowler like a Malinga, maybe that's.
All right, and he will have the chance to bowl to a lot of batters who may not have faced him. Now, the one thing we know is that the Sunrisers are heavily dependent on their overseas batter. Harry Brook, we think, will continue to open. They made that one swap. Umran Malik plays. He was left out last game, and you would expect Natarajan to come in then in the second half to bolster their bowling. Otherwise, it's pretty much the same team. As we just look at the breakup between the amount of runs the overseas batters have scored for Sunrisers versus the Indian batters, I think this could be the game again, Sanjay. Are you expecting more from Mayank Agarwal, Tripathi, Abhishek Sharma, or is it fair to say that, yeah, this is the team, Brook, Markram and Klaasen are their main batters, so they will carry this? Yeah.
Mayank Agarwal was a good purchase, and I feel really bad for the guy because, he's an exceptional Indian batter. He has T20 credentials. When he was playing for Punjab Kings, when he was opening for with KL Rahul, he was actually overshadowing KL Rahul on the strike rate department, got some big scores as well. For India, he's got a double 100. He's got runs against quality attacks in a couple of 70s in Australia. So a guy with pedigree, but just, that leadership that he had of a franchise, that seemed to have just sort of derailed his progress. He started batting down the order. Since then, that confidence of T20 batting hasn't come back. And I really feel for him because this is a guy, and Sunrisers Hyderabad needed somebody like Mayank Agarwal, an Indian batter with some merit to go in there and get you the runs. I thought in this game they might think on having somebody like an Adil Rashid because of potential of the pitch to turn, and they played 3 foreigners, foreign players in the last couple of.
Yeah, they've also continued with Marco Janssen and left Faruqi out, so that's the other option they tend to go for. Tom Moody's a fan of that, especially on high-scoring grounds, of which we believe this will be one. Pommy Mbang was saying at the pitch report, it looks like a belter again. We'll wait to see if Abhishek Sharma comes up the order. Lots of right-handers otherwise in that team, but this is where we thank Sanjay Manjrekar. He's a busy man. Shaun Tait as well. Let's take a bit of a breather. Yeah, you have other commitments. So let me get a first innings prediction score. Sunrisers.
Suddenly my life has changed.
Yes, you are wanted.
From doing nothing for 2 years.
I must say at that point you were still with us. So we are your so true friends, loyal friends. Give me a first innings score before you say anything that will put you back onto those 2 years that have gone by. First innings score, if you're backing CSK, then I'm guessing.
It's so difficult if Harry Brook gets going, but with spinners there, Chepauk, I'm going with 172.
172, Mr. Tait.
I mean, we don't take any notice of my predictions. We know that here. But I'm going to go 185.
Yeah, but therefore I give predictions here as well. You are not interested in them.
Yeah, I mean, and also I don't think the viewers would be interested. Plus your blue tick is gone now.
Yours also. Yeah. I'm going to say CSK are going to nail this. They are my pre-tournament favourites to win this. So I'm going to say 155.
Shameless.
Something like that. 155 and they'll win it easily. Sanjay, Tait, thank you very much. We look forward to your company at the end of the innings on Visit Saudi Presents, ESPNcricinfo T20 Timeout. Quick look at the mobile app. It'll have you covered with everything that's coming thick and fast in the IPL. Doubleheader yesterday, doubleheaders tomorrow. And Abhishek Sharma has indeed opened the batting as a left-handed option. So we'll see how that plays out. Look forward to your company at the end of the innings.